celebrating the power of possibility. Pilot Flying J and Halloran Hilton Hill present Anything is Possible. Today's guest, Jim McMichael.
Welcome to Anything is Possible. I'm so glad to be with you wherever you are. Could be watching at home, you could be watching on your tablet or on your phone, wherever it is. Week to week, this show is about possibility. What's possible in your life through the lens of the lives of others. Their lives prove that anything is possible. And it is my pleasure to welcome to the broadcast Jim McMichael. Thank you for being here today.
You're quite welcome. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something. I ran into someone a couple of weeks ago, and this businessman asked me if I knew you. And he said he's done a lot of business with you through the years. Big businessman. And he said, what do you know about him? I told him a little bit about working with your daughter, the fabulous Christy. And I know you have two daughters that are fabulous. And he said, let me tell you something. He said, this guy has done all my business and will get all of my business as long as he's in business. And he said, I never had a contract with him. He said, it's always been a handshake, and I have absolutely no doubt that when he tells me something, that's exactly what's going to be.
Yeah. You'd be surprised. Like I said, I've been in business 52 years. I would think that maybe 80% of the business comes in my front door, and especially people that's been with me a while. They never ask me what I'm going to charge them. They just call me and say.
That's what this guy said. He said, whatever invoice he sends me, I pay.
Yeah.
And
they know I'm going to be fair with them, and they just, and if I've got it on record, I keep records, photos, and everything if it's a truck or a sign or whatever, But they just call me up and say, Jim, I'm sending a couple of trucks over, or 3 or half a dozen or whatever, and they never ask me what I'm going to charge them.
Yeah. So that's, I wanted to start there in this interview because you get out of the military, there aren't a lot of jobs around, and you decide to try.
Yeah.
I mean, you believed that it was possible.
Right.
But tell me about how you got started.
Well, I got out of the Marine Corps in January '64, and couldn't find a job at a sign company. There just wasn't anything available, and that's what I wanted to be in. And I wanted to be an artist. I really, when I first got out of high school, I wanted to go to an art school, but my parents didn't have enough money to send me there. So anyway, basically I got out of the Marine Corps in '64 and couldn't find a job, so I went to work for Coca-Cola Company making $1.25 an hour. And I worked for 40 hours a week, and it'd be less than $50 in a pay envelope, So, and I would see these guys standing on a Coke case, lettering a truck or something, and I said, sure, the world I could do that, making more than less than $50 a week. So I'd just go drive up and down the roads and pass out cards. If I see a truck that wasn't lettered, I'd ask the driver who you belong to. And they'd say, well, this is so-and-so, and here's the guy to see. And I'd go around, and that's it. And I had one customer that's Tennessee Armature Electric. I run into him. It's Tennessee Associated now, I think. But anyway, they've been with me for back in the '60s, and I've got several customers that's been with me a long time. And
why do you think that is? What was it about the way you approached the business? You didn't have anything.
No.
You literally are handing out cards.
Yeah.
My understanding is that you started painting under a tree.
Yeah, I did. Most of the people that's got trucks, that wasn't lettered, but they were already using them, and so I said, well, what can I do to get it? And they said, well, we don't use it on weekends. I said, well, I'll do it. So you bring it to me, and I would be under a shade tree, or if it's raining, I rented a wash bay over in a Gulf station over on Clinton Highway, And at night, there was I did a lot of work for Hertz. They used to have a place downtown, and I'd go in there and load their trucks. And if it was pretty, especially big trucks, wherever they sit, I'd just pull up to it and get my ladders out, and here we go, So
I want to talk to you about that, because your life really is a story of possibility, because you didn't have a lot, but you've really created something special, driven by the values that drive you. So I want to know, when we come back, how you got those values and what you've learned in the lettering.
Yeah.
My guest is Jim McMichael. You're watching Anything is Possible, because it is.
Possibility powered by Pilot Flying J, Covenant Health, Home Federal, and the Knoxville News Sentinel. Coming up.
A.J. Meltner was one of my big customers. They had 28 different ICC numbers, and I could write with a paintbrush like somebody mostly with a pen, you know. So.
When Jim McMichael started his company, he literally started out of your car?
Yeah, I have 58 Chevrolet, trunk of my car.
But he believed that it was possible to make a business out of that, and you've made quite a business. Thank you for being here today.
You're quite welcome.
Tell me about your parents. Tell me how you were raised up.
Well, I was raised with a real good parents. We didn't have much, but my wife was a nurse practitioner. She worked up at St. Mary's Hospital, and my dad sold tires at Ray Gray Tire Company. And they just, you know, good Christian people. They just would make sure we went to church every Sunday. And then my mother worked mostly at night, and so she'd always make sure we had a good breakfast when my dad would go pick her up, and good breakfast to go to school in. And but he used to always had a lot of good big clients. You know, he put tires on. Back then, the U.S. Royal, that was the tire. It's like a Michelin today, you know.
Right.
And so, but he instilled in me that, you know, you do what you say you're going to do, and do it when you know, that's what you have to do. You don't go around the bush telling somebody that, you know, I'm going to do it tomorrow, but I'm not going to do it tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? You do what you say you're going to do. That's what I've tried to tell my grandsons. You know, you be on time. If you're going to tell somebody to do it, do it.
That to me is such a simple yet powerful way to turn possibility into reality. You start in your car, lettering trucks. Kind of unfold for me the growth of the business.
Well, Shirley and I had a house in Lincoln Park. We was able to get it when we first got in the Marine Corps, and I needed some more space to go. So we paid $500 to have my basement dug underneath my house, and so that gave me a chance to letter small pickups and cabs. I did a lot of work for a service cab. They bought 25 new cabs and yellow cabs every year. So I did those in there, and then
And now you were doing most of all of the work just yourself.
Yeah, me.
So how many hours a week were you?
Well, probably anywhere from 78 hours a week. You know,
Wow.
You know, if I didn't have work, I'd go looking for it. If I had work, I'd come down but I hand drew out every letter and painted every letter with I used to, I guess in my heyday, we did a lot of school buses, and I could lay out like Knox County School with the number and the main's name. I could lay it out with a grease pencil and then let it in 45 minutes, you know. So,
wow.
So, and then A.J. Meltner was one of my big customers. They had 28 different ICC numbers, and I could write with a paintbrush like somebody mostly with a pen, you know.
So over time, you just developed this skill and fluency. Now it's one thing for you to develop the skill and for you to be a sole operator. It's another to build a company. Now you have 30 employees, a 15,000 square foot facility. To manage a group of people, because the government, big, huge companies, they literally just call you and say, Jim, we've got some specialized truck that's going, and they trust you with these huge, and they don't even sign so for you to have people that can live up to your standard, because everything that comes out of that building comes out behind your name, so it's got to be that old school standard.
Yeah.
Talk to me about finding those people.
Well, it's I've got one guy that's been with me 33 years. He lives in Blaine, and his name's Daryl Frazier. He does everything right. I got to be perfect. And I've got several of them that's been with me over 25 years, and my son-in-law's been with me. Mark Kramer has been with me 26 years, and I was able to hire people in different areas. There's 4 facets of business now, so I've hired people that makes me look good. You know, they're specialized, and then so we've taken like that, and just you know, like say fabricating a big sign, you know, neon sign. Well, I don't know how to do that, but I know what it's supposed to look like. But I've hired people that does it, and we got a crane truck that puts it up. So we do a lot of specialized with the digital prints and things like that. So
You know, I know you first and foremost through your daughter, Christy, right? And having worked with her on a number of TV projects. And when you see a person's child and you see their work ethic, and Christy has this amazing attitude, right? First of all, she works really hard.
yeah, she does.
But she does it with this really upbeat attitude. And I met your other daughter as well. I've always wanted to ask you, you've lettered some really great sons, but you've lettered some great kids and grandkids.
Yeah.
How'd that happen? How did you put that kind of a drive? She's got the same drive and work ethic you have. I mean, she's a go-getter, but she does it with such a positive attitude. And I noticed that about you. You have this positive. I mean, you're gonna get it done. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
But when you came in today, you just had this wonderful smile and this buoyancy to your life that's amazing. What is that?
I'm an early riser. I usually get up at 6 every morning, and I'm on the road by 6:30, and I'm at the shop a little before 7. You know, I'm a morning guy. You know, I just like to get up, and I speak. I've got 30 employees. I speak to every one of them every morning. You know, good morning, how you doing? How's your day? And you know, and you know, I just try to be up. You know, just some days you don't feel like it.
Where'd you learn that?
I don't know. It's just something I've always been like that, you know. So I learned in the Marine Corps, you better be there on time, or you're going to pay the piper, you know. But you know, you know, over the years I've got, you know, when you're talking about the growth out of the basement there, and then we moved into another location, and every time I moved over on Clinton Highway to a little Quonset-looking thing, and no bathroom, no heat, you know, but it was a place to pull a truck in the letter, you know. So, but it seemed like every time things happened for a reason, I guess, the owner of that Quonset they wanted to use something else, and I was just renting it. So I was devastated. I didn't know what I was going to do, and I was able to find another place that I rented, and then in '82 the business sort of just absolutely just took off like striking a match to a bale of hay, you know. And so that's when we went down and borrowed money from Third National Bank to build my facilities that we built in '83. So
What do you think made it take off like that?
well, we started painting trucks. I've always heard of we always lettered. We always sort of specialized in truck, you know, because, well, look at you paint a guy a sign, and it's good for 10 or 15, 20 years till it fades or comes up. Well, a truck, they have to trade them about every 4 or 5 years. So
Right.
I figured that's repeat business. So that's how. And then I had some of my truck letter customers say, well, how about painting a fender or do something to design them? I said, well, I don't really. That's not what I do, you know. And so I went over at Sears Roebuck at One Central and bought a 5-horse compressor that you plug in the wall, and it had a spray gun. We started just sort of playing with it, you know. And the word got out that I was painting trucks, and which I wasn't, you know. But I was just sort of, but it was just went crazy, you know. So I built that building in '83 and run out of money because they when they put 640 in there, they threw a lot of rock and stuff like that. So I went over budget. So I literally had to finish the building myself. I had J.S. Ryder come in there and just put the building up to the floor and walk away from it. And I did everything else myself, you know, hired it myself, you know. So I was my own general contractor. So.
Wow. But that seems to be the spirit of your life. Like, you just get it done.
Yeah.
You just have to get it done.
Yeah.
All right, so in our last segment, I want to learn from you the rules of the road. I mean, you've been in business for 52 years, right. Boom and bust. You've seen it all, and you've been able to maintain your business. I would love to learn from you what you've learned about how to be successful and how to make things possible. I would love to get my MBA from you when we come back. So we'll take a break and we'll come back.
Great.
This is Jim McMichael. You're watching Anything is Possible.
Coming up,
I'm constantly moving. If I see something that don't need to be done or it needs to be right, it's got to be right before it goes out the door.
Jim McMichael is with us. Thank you for joining us today. Talk to me now about what you've learned about success in life and business. Let me start on raising a family. If you were mentoring me as a young man, Halloran, always do this, never do that.
Well, I credit my wife a lot for raising the girls because I worked a lot, but you know, she was a disciplinarian. You know, she'd make some. You know, they did a lot. You know, together. They both worked and they were in dancing and baton contests. They did that every weekend practically. You know, so you have to be. You have to have a little bit of discipline to do that within teams and stuff like that. So a lot of that was her doing, but you know, we did family things. We ate supper together every night. You know, even if I had to go back to work, but Shirley put a full course meal together every night. You know, and we always did stuff together. You know, so I think that's a lot of what families don't get anymore.
Right.
They're on their phone or, well, I'm going this and do that, but we sat down every night and had a meal together, you know, and we did stuff. Back in the early days, we didn't do a lot of vacation, but when we went vacation, we'd try to do stuff. When we had a house put up on the arch, and I see kids now in their 50s say, hey, Jim, or they still call me Mr. McMichael, you taught me how to ski, you know. And so we'd have a gang of kids up there. So I always tried to have our kids bring kids over, you know, let them
be active and be the place where the kids are active.
Yeah.
And do things together.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing right there is when you're raising kids to have them all right there with you and you know, be respectful for their privacy too, but do things with them, you know.
I was on a radio show. I was filling in on a radio station in Atlanta, and I said, I'm going to solve the world's problems tonight. And I said, BBTDT, BBTDT. And I said, that will solve the world's problems. And I opened up the phone lines and I said, what do you think it is? And people were like, I don't know. And I finally said, BBTDT, bring back the dinner table.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And that means a lot. So got that. Now on the business side, if you were advising me as a young businessman and you said, Halloran, if you'll do these few things, you'll see your possibilities turn into realities.
Okay. Well, the first thing that I would say, if you're going to open a business tomorrow, have enough capital to back you for at least 2 years. Do not try to take anything out of the business, and make sure you've got, you know, and you whatever you're selling or whatever you're doing, do it to the best of your ability, and do. The main thing is just do what you say you're going to do. You know, you know, don't. I've always used the adage of if you're selling hay, you know, and the guy says, well, I need 3 bales. Well, don't give him 1.5, you know, and be late, you know.
Right.
Because, but just, you know, the main thing is just, if you're going to have an appointment, you know, be there. If you're not going to, you know, don't be late. You know, there's a lot of stuff that's just in business you've got to be. But there's
it looks like it all boils down to your word.
Yeah.
Like your word actually becomes maybe your best marketing tool.
Yeah.
Because like I said, we started the interview with this guy. He didn't know that I was going to interview, or we just ended up. I think we ended up because he said, "Do you know Christy?" And then whatever, and then he just that was his. And I was thinking of you lettering your first truck and knowing that as you were lettering that first truck, that if this is not right, there won't be another one after it.
Yeah.
And that to this day, 52 years later, you sit in that.
I was at the shop this morning and I seen a little discrepancy in the sign that the guy was building, and I said, you know, and they call me the old silver fox, you know. I go over there and you know, I know what it's supposed to look like, you know. And now my office, you've never been in my office, but I've got a big 4x8 piece of glass that I look into the shop, you know, and if I see something that don't need to be there, or like I say, I'm constantly moving. If I see something that don't need to be done, or somebody's, but it needs to be right. Well, I'll do it. And my son-in-law I've got him. He's the same way. He checks things out, makes sure it's got to be right before it goes out the door. A long time ago, when I first started the business, and I still do, but I had a little brush. When I got through it, I would sign Jim McMichael on it. It says, I always thought what's his name, Norman Rockwell.
Yeah.
He always signed his stuff,
Right.
I said, well, that's my piece of artwork. I'm going to sign it, And to this day, everything that goes out the door, it's got Jim McMichael on it.
Wow.
It might be just a little decal, but up until about maybe 8 or 9 years ago, I took that little brush and put Jim McMichael, and that was my stamp of approval,
Right.
that it was right. Still is. I had one time a guy called me. It's been maybe 10, 11, 12 years ago. He said, "What's wrong with my truck?" I said, "Nothing wrong with your truck." He said, "Well, your name's not on it." Mm-hmm. It just didn't get out.
Wow.
It got me. So, and I've had in 52 years, I've probably had maybe half a dozen people say, "I don't want you to put your name on it."
Wow.
Because they didn't want the
Right.
dealership put their
Right.
So,
That's a beautiful way to end this. Work hard to make a good name for yourself, and then live up to that name.
Exactly right. Yeah.
And do your work so well that you're proud to put your name on
Exactly
it.
right. Exactly right.
Well, I'm proud to put your name on anything that's possible. It's great to have you here
Thank you.
today.
Appreciate it.
Mr. McMichael, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate the help.
We'll see you next time on Christy Bruce's Anything is Possible.